Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Welcome to another lecture, and in this lecture we are going to discuss the back exercises of chapter 2 of class 9 alternate English, which is the ogress and the two orphans. So the first question is, this was proved when one night the younger boy who slept in the room of the ogress overheard a conversation between the ogress and her husband. What was proved? So what are they talking about? What was proved? It was proved that the ogress and her husband did not mean good, did not think good of these two boys. Rather, their intention was evil, their intention was bad, and they were only planning to eat them once they were fat and healthy. What happened in the conversation that the younger brother overheard? So what happened? What did the younger brother overhear the husband and wife talking about? He overheard the husband expressing his wish to eat the younger brother, because according to him he was now healthy and could have been eaten, while the ogress wanted him to wait for some more days so that he could get fatter. Did the younger brother tell the older one what he overheard? Yes, the younger brother did tell the elder brother what he had overheard, but he did so the other day once the ogress had left for the field work. Okay. How did the ogress alter the boy's perception of her with a magical spell? Perception, alter means change. Perception, thinking, views. So what did the ogress do, because of which the boy started thinking of her in an altogether different manner? So you remember, when the first time the boys had seen the ogress, they found her to be very untidy and clumsy and bad. But because of her magical spell, the woman made them believe that she was a good-looking and a loving woman. Does the fattening of the boys remind you of a similar incident in a fairy tale from another part of the world? Can you recall the story? So, fattening of the boys, this is another famous fairy tale that we have, Gretel and Hansel. In this also the same thing happened. These two kids, they were left in the forest by their stepmother, and they were caught by a witch. The witch was planning to eat them, feeding the food to the boy continuously, and one day when they realized that the woman was preparing an oven, heating an oven to cook them and eat them, the two siblings, the brother and sister, they pushed the witch into it, ran away from there, met their father, were reunited and lived happily ever after. Okay. Explain the phenomenon of the missing heads. Does this provide the reader with clues to guess the direction of the story? So what was the phenomenon of the missing head? What was it about the missing head that the story talks about? As we have read, these two boys were into a business of trapping the birds and animals and used to use them for, for their livelihood. Now, what happened? The general phenomenon which was noticed by these boys was that the head of their birds would go missing. Initially, the elders of the village told them to change the place of their hunt. The boys did that, but after a few days, again the same thing resumed. And then obviously, we did, as a reader, get a hint of where the story was leading. I'm sure if you are going to read about a story in which somebody's head goes missing but the rest of the part is intact, So we are obviously going to think about something bad and supernatural, some animal or some ghost will come into the picture. And this is exactly what happened. We came across an ogress who was responsible for this, who was eating these birds, and she also managed to trap the boys, but luckily the boys were able to escape. Okay. Identify the elements of the folk tale that categorize the ogress and the two orphans. So, obviously, it is written there on the same page. So, as we have read, what is a folk tale? It is a narrative in which you talk about the tradition. There are various people, or it is being told to you in a very detailed manner. So, this is exactly what we have read in this story. It talks about two boys. The two boys have been explained in detail. Then there is an introduction. There is a reference of an ogre and the ogress. Then there is something written about the magical charms that she talks about that the ogress used. The river parting. The manner the ogress would eat the birds in such a way that the head was only eaten and the rest of the body was intact. Then the way the boys were looked after by the ogress at her place, and how did she separate the two boys. This is something which we usually read in the fairy tales. So the two boys were made to sleep in different rooms, and then finally when the boys realized and got to know about the entire truth in this manner, and they were safely able to escape from there. So all these things truly indicate that it is no less than a fairy tale, and most of all it had a happy ending. So this is how it has all the characteristics of a fairy tale. Okay. Alright, now these two questions are very general. What is the relevance of the story of the ogress and the two orphans to the students today? So the students today, what do you learn from the story of the ogre and the ogress? How is it important for you? What all things can you, initiate from this? So again, your opinion. If you could get a magic charm, what would you use for it? You have to write a small paragraph on that. And with this, my dear students, we come to the end of this chapter. So we've explained to you the entire story. Every word, every sentence, every, expression has been explained to you well. The back exercises are discussed with you. So I hope the story is very much clear.